remember that night of October 15th, 2021, like it was yesterday. The company conference in Detroit had just wrapped up, and instead of staying an extra night at the hotel like I'd originally planned, I decided to drive back to Columbus right then and there. Maybe it was homesickness, or just the simple desire to sleep in my own familiar bed after 3 straight days of intense meetings. At 9:30 p.m., I pulled out of the Marriott Hotel parking lot. My 2018 Honda Accord was all set for the 230-mile journey south. According to the GPS, I'd get home around 1:30 a.m. if I didn't stop. The main route was I-75 south, then switching to I-270 once I got close to Columbus, a road I'd driven at least 20 times in the past year. October weather in Ohio is always unpredictable. The afternoon had been warm with gentle golden sunshine, but as night fell, the air turned cold and damp. The dashboard showed 42 degrees Fahrenheit. I turned on the heater lightly and tuned the FM radio to find some talk show to keep me company on the long drive. The first few miles through downtown Detroit were pretty normal. Traffic was still fairly heavy, with locals heading to night shifts or coming back from bars. Neon lights from shops, gas stations, and fast food joints cast colorful streaks across the windshield. I stopped at a speedway to fill up the tank and grab a large coffee. The night shift clerk, a young girl with purple hair and tired eyes, greeted me mechanically. She was probably used to long-haul drivers like me. "Drive safe out there," she said as she handed me my change. "It's going to be foggy tonight." Sure enough, as I left the Detroit city limits and merged onto I-75 south, the fog started rolling in. At first, it was just thin layers clinging to the road, but it got thicker by the minute. My visibility dropped to about 200 feet ahead. I had to slow down from 75 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour, turn on the fog lights, and focus intensely on driving. The farther south I went, the thinner the traffic got. After about an hour, there were hardly any other cars on the road. Just the smooth hum of the Honda's engine, the light wind through the cracked window, and the radio host talking about the Midwest weather. Every now and then, a big truck would pass, its bright headlights making me squint and adjust the rearview mirror. The stretch from Toledo to Lima was especially desolate. It was wide-open rural area with endless fields of corn and soybeans on both sides. During the day, the scenery was pretty nice, with small farmhouses and old barns. But at night, shrouded in thick fog, everything turned into mysterious and eerie shadows. Only the tall power poles would appear and disappear in the headlights like giant sentinels standing guard. Around 11:15 p.m., fatigue started hitting my concentration. My eyes felt heavy, and I kept sipping coffee to stay alert. I decided to blast some classic rock to perk up. Steve Perry's voice in Don't Stop Believin' filled the cabin, but even those familiar tunes couldn't shake the growing sense of loneliness and unease enveloping me. That's when I started feeling like something was off. Not just the fog or the tiredness. It was a primal, instinctive feeling, like someone was watching me from somewhere in the darkness. I glanced in the rearview mirror, but all I saw was pitch-black night behind me, occasionally pierced by the faint glow of distant streetlights. At that point, I had no idea this seemingly ordinary trip was about to turn into the most horrifying nightmare of my life. At 11:47 p.m., right after passing the Lima 12 miles sign, I first spotted the lights in my rearview mirror. On this desolate stretch of I-75, having another car heading in the same direction was actually a comfort. The fog had gotten even thicker, limiting my visibility to about 200 feet, and those headlights from behind were like a small beacon in the dark night. At first, I even felt grateful. At least I wasn't completely alone on this barren road. But that only lasted about 5 minutes. I started paying attention when I realized the distance between our cars wasn't changing at all. Not the kind of roughly the same you see when two drivers happen to match speeds. This was precise to a scary degree. No matter if I sped up or slowed down a bit, the cars behind always adjusted to maintain the exact same gap, like it was laser measured. I checked my speedometer, 64 miles per hour. I bumped it up to 68 miles per hour. The lights in the mirror stayed right in position. I dropped to 58 miles per hour. The distance didn't budge an inch. My heart started pounding harder. Through the rearview mirror, amid the fog and glare, I could make out it was a mid-sized sedan, light-colored, maybe silver or pale gray. The headlights were modern LEDs with that cold white light, totally different from the yellow halogen bulbs on older cars. From about 150 feet away, I couldn't see the license plate or the make. What creeped me out the most was that I couldn't see anyone inside the car at all. The front windshield was like a solid black wall. Maybe it was the angle, the light reflection, or heavy tint, but it felt like the car was driving itself, tailing me. I decided to test it further. I switched to the left lane like I was yielding for it to pass. It immediately switched to the left lane too. I moved back to the right. It followed suit. The 150-foot gap didn't change even a little. My mouth went dry. I turned off the FM radio to focus completely. The cabin was silent except for the Honda's engine and my heart thumping in my chest. Cold sweat trickled down my spine. I tried to come up with a rational explanation. Maybe it was a tired driver using adaptive cruise control, accidentally set to match my speed, or they were dozing off and letting the car auto-follow. But that tech is usually on luxury cars, and from what I could see, this sedan looked pretty ordinary. Plus, when I tried gradually slowing down, from 64 miles per hour to 52 miles per hour over 3 minutes, and the car still tailed me with computer-like precision, I knew it wasn't a coincidence. 12:02 a.m. It had been over 15 minutes since the car appeared. I tried a sudden move. I tapped the brakes lightly to flash the brake lights, then immediately accelerated. The sedan reacted instantly, like the driver had anticipated it. It was deliberately following me. No doubt about it. I scanned around for an escape. Ahead was a straight road stretching into the fog. On both sides, pitch-black fields. The next exit was at least 8 miles away. I was stuck on this empty highway with a stranger mirroring my every move. The first question that popped into my head, what does this person want from me? The second, even scarier, how long had they been following me without me noticing? And the last one, making me grip the steering wheel tighter. What would happen when I stopped? The silver sedan was still there, patient, unchanging, like a mechanical ghost trailing me through the dark night. At 12:08 a.m., I had just passed the exit leading into Lima but didn't stop, continuing straight south on I-75. The silver sedan was still tailing me at that unchanging 150-foot distance. By now, I was certain I was being deliberately followed, and what happened next turned my fear into full-blown panic. The sedan's headlights started flashing. I grabbed my phone to call 911 right away, but the screen just showed no service. I cursed under my breath. This stretch of I-75 is notorious for mobile dead zones, especially from Lima southward. The cell towers are spaced far apart due to the vast rural terrain. At first, I thought the flashing headlights were just a technical glitch, maybe loose wiring or a faulty headlight relay. But then I noticed a clear pattern. Off for 2 seconds, on for 3 seconds, off for 2, on for 3, over and over. Steady as a heartbeat. This wasn't a malfunction. This was intentional signaling. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Cold sweat soaked my shirt even though the heater was on. In the rearview mirror, the on-off lights created a hypnotic, terrifying effect, like they were trying to communicate in a language I didn't understand. Off on, off on, off on. I tried to make sense of it. In the military, we used Morse code, but this rhythm didn't match any signal I knew. It seemed almost like a greeting, a warning, or some kind of countdown. The pattern kept going. I decided to respond. I flicked my hazard lights on twice quickly. Immediately, the sedan's headlights stopped flashing for 5 seconds, then started a new rhythm. Off for 1 second, on for 1, off for 1, on for 1, faster, more urgent. My heart felt like it was about to burst out of my chest. Whoever it was had responded to my signal. This proved they weren't just passively following. They were trying to communicate, but about what? I checked my phone again, still no service. Even if there was, what would I report to 911? There's a car flashing its headlights behind me? It sounded ridiculous. I needed more concrete evidence, or at least to get to a safe spot where I could explain the situation. I turned off my hazards and tried to speed up. From 62 miles per hour to 70 miles per hour, then 75 miles per hour. The fog was still thick, visibility limited, but I had no other choice. I needed to escape this. The sedan accelerated right along, maintaining the distance like it was tied to my car with an invisible string. The headlights kept flashing in the new rhythm, quick and steady, like they were counting down seconds. I tried a risky move. I slammed on the brakes hard and dropped to 45 miles per hour in about 10 seconds. If this was a normal driver who was just tired or distracted, they'd nearly rear-end me or swerve into another lane. The sedan reacted perfectly. It slowed at exactly the same time, keeping that precise 150-foot gap as if they'd anticipated my move. The headlights stopped flashing for 3 seconds, maybe showing anger at my sudden action, then started a new pattern. 3 quick flashes, pause for 2 seconds, 3 quick flashes, pause for 2. I felt like someone was whispering right behind my ear. It was like being toyed with by an experienced predator. They weren't in a hurry, not worried about being spotted. They were enjoying the game. I spotted a sign for rest area, 2 miles. An idea popped into my head. If I pulled into a public rest area, with security cameras and maybe other people around, I could call 911 from there, or at least force this person to show themselves. The headlights kept flashing in the 3-pause rhythm. In the fog, the light created ghostly streaks, like it was drawing mysterious symbols across the night. I started merging into the right lane, preparing to exit into the rest area. Immediately, the sedan merged right too. The flashing pattern changed. 1 long flash, pause for 5 seconds, 1 long flash, pause for 5. Like it was saying, I know what you're planning. As I started slowing down to exit into the rest area, another thought hit me. Why trap myself in a place that could turn into a perfect ambush? Rest areas at night are usually pretty deserted, with just a few trucks parked overnight. If this guy had bad intentions, it'd be the ideal spot for him to make a move. Right before the entrance to the rest area, I suddenly accelerated and kept going straight on I-75. It was an unexpected maneuver. I'd signaled I was exiting, but didn't. If this was a normal driver, they'd either take the exit as planned, or at least be caught off guard and take a few seconds to react. The sedan responded instantly. It sped up too, stayed straight, like it had predicted my exact move. The 150-foot distance held steady. I cursed under my breath. This wasn't just following. They seemed to be reading my mind. I decided to try a more complex series of moves to test their reactions. The next exit led to the town of Findlay, about 8 miles away. Maybe in town I'd get cell service to call 911, or at least find a local police station. While waiting, I tried changing speeds irregularly, from 65 miles per hour down to 58 miles per hour over 30 seconds, then up to 72 miles per hour in 20 seconds, then back to 61 miles per hour. No pattern at all. Totally random. The sedan matched every change with machine-like precision. Not a second too early, not a second too late. Like someone was sitting in my car, watching my every move and signaling the sedan's driver. That thought made me whip my head around to check the back seat. Nothing there. Just my work bag and the bottle of water I'd bought in Detroit. But the feeling of being watched from inside my own car wouldn't go away. 12:30 a.m., the sign for Findlay, exit 159, 1 mile, appeared in my headlights. I was still in the middle lane, no indication I was going to exit. The sedan was the same. 500 feet before the exit, still holding the middle lane. 300 feet, no change. 100 feet. I suddenly swerved right and floored it, trying to catch the exit at the last second. The Honda's engine roared as I pushed the gas pedal to the limit. The sedan reacted immediately. Swerved right too, accelerated, like it had been ready for it. We both took exit 159 at the same time, exactly 150 feet apart. My heart was pounding. This couldn't be coincidence anymore. This guy had known I'd exit here, even though I'd only decided at the last minute myself. The exit led to a small 2-lane road through the center of Findlay. At this hour, the town was almost completely empty. Just a few streetlights and the dim glow from a Shell gas station at the corner. I checked my phone. Finally, 1 week bar of service. But as I thought about stopping to call 911, I realized what I'd say. There's a car going the same direction as me? It sounded ridiculous. And if I pulled over in this deserted town to make the call, what would he do? He might get closer, or worse. I decided to try shaking the tail first, then call the cops once I was safe. The sedan was still behind me at the same distance. Headlights no longer flashing but steady now, like it was hyper-focused. I turned left onto a residential street, then right onto another, then left again. A series of random turns through this small neighborhood. If he was just guessing, he'd get lost, or at least confused. Left onto Maple Street. The sedan followed, right onto Oak Avenue, still there. Left onto Pine Road. Distance unchanged at 150 feet. Right onto a small unnamed road. The sedan matched every turn like it was on GPS. Finally, I stopped in the middle of the road and shut off the engine, deciding to force this confrontation. If it was just coincidence, if he was really just somehow heading the same way, he'd pass me or stop and ask if I was okay. The sedan stopped too, exactly 150 feet away. No one got out. No hazard lights. Just sitting there in the dark, headlights beaming straight at my car. We faced off like that for 5 minutes, neither of us moving. I could hear my heart pounding in the absolute silence of the late night. No crickets, no wind. Like the whole world was holding its breath, waiting to see who'd make the first move. I knew I couldn't sit there forever. I started the engine and slowly drove toward the Shell gas station, the only place with lights and maybe people. At least there I could call 911 safely. The sedan started up too and followed. Distance unchanged. As I turned onto the main road toward the station, I felt like this cat-and-mouse game was about to end. Not because I'd escape, but because the predator had played enough. Now was the time for the real confrontation. At 12:50 a.m., the neon lights of the Shell gas station appeared like a bright oasis in the dark night. As I pulled in, a feeling of anger started rising alongside the fear. For over an hour, I'd let some stranger toy with me like prey. Enough was enough. I needed to know who this guy was and what he wanted. I parked right in front of the store, under the brightest lights. From here, I could see the whole area clearly and could yell or run inside if needed. There was a night shift employee behind the counter, reading a magazine. The first person I'd seen since leaving Detroit. The silver sedan pulled into the station too, but didn't park close. Instead, it stopped at the farthest corner of the lot, where the lights didn't reach. exactly 150 feet away, the familiar distance it had maintained the whole trip. The sedan's engine shut off. The headlights went dark. I sat in my car, heart pounding, watching the vehicle in the shadows. No movement at all, no one got out, no interior lights. It was like the car had become a complete black void, almost invisible in the dark corner of the lot. The anger inside me grew stronger. I was a grown man, not some kid to be intimidated and pranked like this. This guy wanted to play cat and mouse. I'd show him who was really being chased. Plus, I was in a public place with lights, security cameras, and a person around. If he tried anything, I could yell for attention or bolt into the store right away. This was the best time to confront the situation. I decided to take the initiative. I needed to know who he was, why he was following me, and what he wanted. If it was just a normal driver having some issue, I could help and clear up the misunderstanding. If he had bad intentions, I'd know and could act accordingly. I opened my door and stepped out. The cold October air made me shiver, but the anger heated my blood. From here, under the bright lights, I could see the sedan better. Definitely silver. Looked like a newer Honda Accord or Nissan Altima. The license plate was unclear due to the angle and lighting. I started walking toward the car, not slowly like before, but with determined steps. 150 feet was actually a pretty good distance, but I could run back to the station in 10, 15 seconds if needed. 100 feet. I still couldn't see anyone inside, but now I wasn't scared anymore. I wanted answers. 80 feet. The car was still completely still. I prepared to yell, "Hey, why are you following me?" 60 feet, I could make out the plate better, looked like Ohio tags, but the numbers were still fuzzy. 50 feet. I stopped and shouted, "I know you're in there. Come out and talk." No response. 40 feet. "What do you want from me? Why follow me all night?" Absolute silence. 30 feet. I could see the interior through the back window. Empty seats, no one there. Suddenly, the sedan's engine roared to life. The headlights blazed on, shining straight into my eyes. I had to shield them with my hand to avoid the glare. "Don't run!" I yelled, starting to run toward the car. "I just want to talk." But the car was already backing out of the spot, turning around and heading straight for the station's exit. Not in a hurry, not rushed. Just a normal motion, like leaving right then was the most natural thing. As it passed by me, I tried to peer inside through the side window, but the tint was too dark, or maybe the light reflection. I still couldn't see anyone in there. I wasn't even sure if there was someone inside. "You coward!" I shouted after the departing car. Anger and frustration surged through me. I'd bravely confronted him, but he'd run off like a coward. The sedan pulled onto the main road and vanished into the night. No sound except the engine fading away until it was gone. I stood there in the empty lot, under the neon lights, feeling both relieved and pissed off. The pursuit was over, but I still had no answers. Maybe it was just some psycho who liked messing with people, and when faced directly, he didn't have the guts. At least I'd shown I wasn't an easy victim. I headed back to my car feeling proud of my decision to confront the situation. But when I opened the door, that sense of satisfaction vanished instantly. The passenger door was ajar. I stood next to my open car door, staring at the slight gap in the passenger door with a wave of confusion. Could I have forgotten to lock it? No, impossible. I always lock the car, especially in unfamiliar places like this. It's second nature after years of city living. I swung the passenger door fully open and got ready to slide in to head home. As my hand reached for the dashboard to start the engine, something felt off. The neon lights reflected off a small black object plugged into the USB port, the spot where I usually charge my phone. Instinct told me something was wrong. I never leave any devices plugged in when parking. Plus, this USB was solid black, while my charger is white and tucked away in the glove box. I pulled the USB out and held it in my hand. It was small, light, just like a regular flash drive. No brand, no markings. Just a tiny, cold, mysterious black device. Someone had gotten into my car and left this. My heart started racing. I whipped around to check the back seat, where my work bag was still sitting. Inside was the Dell laptop I'd used for my presentation in Detroit that morning. Lucky I always carry it on business trips. An idea hit me. I needed to see what was on this USB. I grabbed the laptop from the bag and set it on the driver's seat. The Dell Latitude booted up in seconds. I plugged the USB into the laptop's port, my hands still shaking a bit. The screen showed a folder with a single video file. Recording _101521.mp4. October 15th, 2021, today. I double-clicked it. The video player opened and started playing. What I saw made my blood run cold. The video was shot from inside a car, camera pointed forwards through the windshield. On the road ahead was a gray Honda Accord driving through the dark night. My car. The angle was from behind, at a fixed distance of about 150 feet. Exactly the gap the silver sedan had kept the whole time. It captured my car changing lanes, speeding up, slowing down. All the maneuvers I'd tried to shake the tail. The timestamp in the corner, starting at 11:47 p.m., right when I'd first spotted the sedan in my rearview mirror. The video kept playing with eerie stability. No shaking, no loss of view. This guy had followed me with machine-like precision, anticipating every move and maintaining the perfect distance to film it all. I watched my car take exit 159 into Findlay, then weave through those residential streets with the random turns I'd thought would lose him. But the camera stayed right there, patiently tracking every motion like a predator stalking its prey. The video finally showed my car pulling into this Shell station. It kept recording as I parked under the neon lights, then captured me stepping out and walking towards the sedan. From this angle, I looked like prey willingly approaching a trap. In the last few seconds, it showed me standing in the middle of the lot, yelling after the departing sedan. From the camera's perspective, I came off like a fool shouting into the darkness. The video ended right after that. I sat there in silence, staring at the laptop screen. It felt like I'd just rewatched my nightmare from the eyes of the one who created it. For over an hour, while I'd thought I was trying to escape some stranger, I was really the star in a horror movie he was directing. Every attempt to get away, every bit of fear and panic, it was all meticulously recorded. I checked the file info. Size, 2.3 GB. Perfect HD quality. Someone had invested in professional gear for this. But why? Why let me see it? To prove they could do this and I was totally helpless? Or was this just the start of a bigger game? I yanked the USB out and gripped it tight. Finally, I had solid evidence for the police, an HD video documenting the entire stalking, left behind by the culprit himself. Once home, I called 911 immediately, trying to keep my voice calm as I recounted everything. The silver sedan tailing me, the confrontation at the gas station, and the strange USB. 2 officers arrived quickly, a middle-aged man named Martinez and his young female partner Chen. They listened politely, took notes on my statement, and carefully inspected the car, dusting for fingerprints. I showed them the video on my laptop. They offered a few reasonable hypotheses that could explain it. A driver who might have been disoriented or had mental issues and just happened to be going the same direction. The video could have been created from traffic security cameras or a hacked dash cam, or this could be a malicious prank from someone at the company or an acquaintance trying to scare me. They filed a report with case number 2021-1015-0847, promised to check further and contact me if there were developments, then left. But from then on, there was no response at all. Clearly, to them, nothing serious had happened. No injuries, no property loss, so it got put on the waiting list, not given much attention. I felt more helpless and alone than ever. I knew the truth, but if that guy came back, there wouldn't be any timely support. A month passed, and everything seemed quiet. The evidence had been handed over to the police long ago, the file sitting somewhere in the system. Life returned to its normal rhythm, waking up, going to work, coming home, sleeping. Every night I still double-checked the car locks, but the paranoid feeling gradually faded. This morning, as I sat drinking coffee and opened my phone, I saw a notification from the news app pop up. The headline was short, but each word stabbed straight into my chest. 28-year-old female engineer missing on I-75, car abandoned at rest area near Findlay, USB found inside containing video footage from backseat, recording journey before disappearance. I read it again, then read it once more, word by word. I-75. Rest area near Findlay. USB containing video from the back seat. The same route I'd taken a month ago, the same method I'd experienced. But this time, the victim didn't make it home. The coffee cup in my hand trembled slightly. I set it down on the table, my fingers still stiff. In my mind, images from that night flooded back. The silver sedan, the 150-foot distance, the flashing headlights, the cold black USB. And now, a 28-year-old woman, just a few years older than me, had vanished completely. Her car was found with the door open, keys still in the ignition, and a USB like a final gift from the predator. The phone rang just as the screen still had the article open. The name that came up, Ohio State Police.